How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious, welcome to my channel, and welcome to a guide on the incredible champion Morrigan in the game Watcher of Realms. As you can see behind me, we have a fantastic infographic. More on that later, but shout out to Dolores, who was the one who designed it. Thank you so much for doing that. However, this is going to have to go away for a second, so let me disappear it really quick. Now you can see, guys, we are in the test server, and I want to say this so explicitly. This is not my account. This is not a real account. This is a testing ground for content creators. This is the test server. And that's the reason we have Morrigan, because of course I don't have Morrigan yet. That'd be crazy. Let's look, guys. Here you can see Fastidious. Without further ado, let's get right on into it, and let's take a little look-see poodle at Morrigan over here. So guys, I'm going to break the guide down very quickly for you, and then we'll hop right into it. Basically, let's start off with a little hero introduction. We're going to talk about her aesthetic. I think she looks gorgeous, one of my favorite hero models in the game. Then we're going to go over base stats and base stat comparisons, see how she stacks up against other legendary mages. Then I'm going to talk about attack speed. That's something I think doesn't get talked about enough, and it's super important for a champion, for a hero like Morrigan. Finally, we'll do a classic skill review, a skill breakdown. I'll do a brief Awakenings breakdown, not as thorough as in other guides because she is a legendary lord. You'd be very blessed to get Awakenings of her. Then we're going to do gearing. We'll head back to that infographic. We'll talk about gearing, what stats to look out for, what are the best sets, what artifacts we want to highlight, and then we're going to do a full hero spotlight, like a content spotlight, where we're going to bring her into Gear Raid 1, Stage 19. So you've seen her in 18 so far if you've seen my other videos, but we're going to bring her with a full cultist team into Gear Raid 1, Stage 19. So it should be really fun. She's really darn impressive. And finally, we'll just talk about hero synergies and wrap this thing up. So guys, we've got Morrigan here. She is the only legendary lord currently from the cultist faction. She is the Burnt Witch. She looks phenomenal. She's got this crazy little Dark Witch shamanic thing going on, the cool horned helmet and everything. She might be my favorite hero design in the game. They call her Mommy Morrigan for a reason. What else can I say? That kind of sums that up. Let's talk about stats. So the best way to do that is to head to the gallery, folks. If I go over here, you can see we're already in the cultist faction. Here is our Lord, Morrigan. Let's go here. We can go hero details, and I can show you her stats at max level. So you can see she comes in at just under 4.3k attack. I'm just going to focus on attack and HP right now. And then just over 10k HP. Not mind-blowing stuff. However, I've gone ahead and calculated the average stats for attack and HP for every legendary mage currently out in the game, and that comes out to just about 1.5k HP and 4.4k attack. And yes, those exact numbers will be 10.521k HP and 4,376 attack. So she's just a smidge under average when it comes to base stats, but I'm telling you, the rest of that kit absolutely makes up for it. All right, so moving right along, guys, who can we compare her to, right? Well, she actually compares very directly to Virna. Virna's maybe the most popular, everyone's favorite, everyone's most coveted legendary mage from the same faction, from the cultist faction. So just to remind you, here are Morrigan's stats. Now, if we take a quick little peek at Virna, they are slightly better, but when I say slightly, I absolutely mean slightly. So you can see here, she comes in at just over 4.3k attack, and then almost 10.5k HP. So Virna is almost exactly, she's still a smidge under, but she's almost exactly at the average legendary mage. So that kind of gives you a sense of where Morrigan stacks up in terms of just what her base stats in her kit are working with compared to someone like Virna in the same faction, and then all legendary mages as well. I do want to talk about attack speed, guys. Attack speed is absolutely slept on, because attack speed, as you're going to hear when we discuss her skills and the full kit, it's really, really important on Morrigan. Go to gear, click this little exclamation point, and you can get full stats. This is something I didn't learn until I'd already played the game for literally a month. But you can see here, you can see all the additions, and then here you get the sum total. The only thing that will get left off is Pantheon bonuses. However, we're in the test server, and I've never done any Pantheons, so they're all 0. So these are actually the numbers we're working with, which is kind of nice, and I'm going to keep it that way. So you can see here, guys, she has an attack interval. So we have different classifications of champions in the game. They can range all the way from the lowest, which is a 2-second attack interval, all the way up to the highest, who is Zealous, which is a 5-second attack interval. So she's right in the middle towards the upper end at a 3-second attack interval. But I'm telling you guys, you really want a lot of attack speed on her kit because you want those basic attacks going off. We'll talk about that when we get to the skills. But you can see here, guys, I got her at an additional 209 attack speed. you'll see that in the gear. So that brings her to 309. So I've written down some numbers here, guys, and this is using thresholds that have been done through a lot of testing. So shout out to Mindless YouTube. I'll put his Reddit link in the comment that I used for the research. But basically, for a 3.0 second attack interval unit, to get a subtraction of a full second, you need, the threshold is plus 143 attack speed, right? So you need a total of 243 attack speed. So anything up that until the next, anything above 243, so above an additional 143, will be gratuitous and useless until you hit the next threshold. That next threshold is going to be 173. Now you're down 1.1 seconds to an attack interval of 1.9. Then you can see I did a very good job of min-maxing. The next threshold is 208. So we got it to just 209. So added up together, 309. We needed 308. We beat it by just 1. And that's how we got this really nice minus 1.2 second attack interval. I think this is the sweet spot for her from my testing. You can also go for the 173 interval. If you want to be a little more conservative with your attack speed, you could go for the 143. Keep in mind, I'm talking about additional attack speed added. Or if you want to go crazy, if you give her an additional 251 attack speed, so a total of 351, that will give her a reduction of, what is that, 1.3 seconds. So she'll be at 1.7. But we've got her at a very nice 1.8 seconds. And now let's transition up and on over to the skill breakdown, and you'll understand why that's so important for her. Morrigan's kit is quite unique because it's all built around one thing, and that is these cursed bombs. So they're red, they're underlined, it means we can click it. Cursed bombs, they last for 2 seconds. They deal 25% magic damage to the target per second. So basically it's 50%, right? Because it's 2 seconds, it happens twice, and explodes at the end, dealing 50% AoE damage to surrounding enemies. So basically you can think about it as 100% AoE magic damage. Not that much, but she spams these things out like absolute craziness. So you really take advantage of it. She does some proper damage. I just want to start with the talent since we're already here, and this is going to explain why I wanted so much attack speed on her. Her whole kit is built around these cursed bombs, making sure there's as many out as possible. They're all exploding and causing mayhem for the enemies. Each basic attack launched has a 30% chance to release cursed bombs, right? So attack speed directly correlates to the interval at which your hero is using their basic attack. So it's important. She has a lot of attack speed, so the interval's low, so we get as many chances. It's all about quantity, right? Let's get as many opportunities as possible to get that 30% chance, put out extra curse bombs, and get more damage. Let's go to the basic attack now. So it's quite simple. It's a multi-target, not even like a proper AoE. It does 70% damage to 3 targets, but it does have that 30% chance to release curse bombs. Super huge. You're gonna want major attack speed. Now onto the passive. After the curse bomb detonates, so now again, it's all about curse bombs, generates a ground area effect, dealing 15% AoE damage per second for 10 seconds. Some quick math, 150% AoE damage with a ground effect, so airborne units will take half that. So they will take 75% AoE damage. On to the next passive. After being deployed for 40 seconds, increases damage by 30% permanently. So if you've been slightly underwhelmed by some of these percentages, honestly you shouldn't be, because the bombs go off constantly, but you know, only 150, only 70. The curse bombs, only when you add it all up, is only 100. However, her total damage, everything is going to be times 1.3, right? It's going to be 30% higher. Super potent. Finally, you'll never guess what's in her ultimate. Well, there's more curse bombs. Releases a wave of curse bombs, add up to 4 targets in range. So again, a bit more of a multi-target than a straight up AoE, but then from those curse bombs, we're just getting straight up AoE left and right. You'll see, it's crazy. There's a little animation there. She is nuts. I really like her kit. I think she deserves all the hype, and I just think she's awesome. All right, to continue, oh, we do have to talk about artifacts. So, as you will see in the infographic when we get there in just 2 seconds, there's 3 artifacts I want to highlight to put on her. I'm actually going to change this. This is from a different test. I would say the best in class for her, there are 2 options. There's the skill of desecration, so damage received is increased by 10%. This is, by the way, at full promotion plus 25, but I want to show you the best version of the artifacts as well. So damage, there's a bit of a penalty. Damage received is increased by 10%. However, her AoE damage is increased to 35%. Very potent, right? The other option you can use is this bad boy over here that we currently have on our Virna, who will be coming into the playtest we do in a few moments. Attack is increased by 30% when deployed. When HP is lower than 80%, the attack increase effect is reduced to 15%. So there you go, guys. These are what I think are the best things. So basically, this is applied after deployment, the tier of Starlight. So if you build them with 10k attack, then you deploy it, now you're getting an extra 30% of that 10k, not of the base stat 4200 attack or whatever. So you'd get an extra 3000. Super powerful. I actually think specifically for Morrigan in some of the content you're going to use her in, just because she will take damage in Gear Raid 119, I think she's going to be better off just going all for it with the extra damage. However, especially as we reach higher level content, I think it's going to be pretty important that you do consider using this artifact instead, because this game's all about defense thresholds. So basically, there's like the first part of the damage equation is attack minus defense. So you got to make sure your attack is higher than their defense, or you're kind of out of luck. However, for this fight, and I think for most of us, especially at the point in the game we all are in, it's not really going to get better than Skill of Desecration. It works tremendously, tremendously well. The third option, I will say, is going to be Blue Sea Ice Ring. I would only recommend using this one if you do not have another hero coming into the fight that is going to provide some crowd control effect. So, perfect transition now into the Lord skill. But you see this one here provides some slows, some little extra damage, but with the Lord skill, it's way more potent. So, let's talk about her Lord skill. So all legendary lords in this game, if you happen to not know, they provide their specific faction allies basic attribute increases. So the rares do 5%, the epics do 10%, and then these legendary lords like Morrigan right here do 15%, just straight up attribute increase to every single stat of their faction allies. It's great, but what makes her special? Increases faction allies' damage dealt to enemies inflicted with stun, freeze, immobilize, and other control effects by 30%. Increases faction allies' AoE damage by 25%. This faction is all about AoE. This faction, you'll see, there's a ton of people that do crowd control effect. If you can get those two combined, plus with another great artifact, the damage is really, really, really significant. She's tremendously, tremendously powerful. The reason I pointed out the Blue Sea Ice Ring is because she and her own kit doesn't have any crowd control effects. However, that gives it to her. So if you're not bringing someone like Amari or someone like from her faction like Iona who brings slow, you can do this and she can provide her own slow and then benefit from this extra bonus 30% as well. So pretty cool. That's a nice way to break it down. Let's very quickly talk about awakenings. Like I said, it's gonna be pretty rare that people get to awaken her, but we can click and go through. So her first awakening, basic attack damage plus 10%. Pretty simple, pretty fine. I don't love it. Then we got faction allies AoE damage plus 5%. That's nuts. You're enhancing, and you're also getting 5% attack to her. This is super potent, right? So that amazing increase to AoE damage by 25% for all her allies, and she's got a ton of AoE great magic damage dealer allies like Virna, like Iona, like Zealous. Now it goes up to 30%, just standard. Amazing. Then we get shortens revival time by 10 seconds, generates a ground effect upon her death, so you can build forward to do more interesting things where you build her really fragile, so she dies, then you get a little nice area of effect damage, and then sure, she's got a quicker revival, you can throw her back out there. Rage regen auto +1, so G just gets 1 additional rage cost towards her ultimate every second. Great. 1 is a little underwhelming, but it's something. And then finally, this one's nuts. I don't know how many people are going to have an A5 Morrigan. If you pull 6 Morgans this weekend, you should, I don't know, put your numbers down in the lottery. Curse bombs explode upon hitting a target and deal full damage, right? So just at once, they're just going to do all these things. There's no this over 2 seconds. There's no, oh, and then we do a ground effect. It's just boom, full damage, kablammy. She's really good, guys. There's a reason people are so excited. So here in the infographic, and by the way, guys, if you want a copy, you can reach out to me directly or on my Discord server, the Fast and Fastidious. I really think it's beautiful. I think Dolores did such a good job. But you can see just a quick recap. Morrigan is a legendary lord. She's a DPS unit. She's from the Cultist faction. I have a nice little neon images of the 3 artifacts I suggested, but let's talk about stats and sets. So when you're gearing her, this is what it's all about. This is a gearing infographic. When you're gearing her, what are you hunting? Well, I think first and foremost, because her base attack isn't that high and you're gonna have to pump it as much as you can, because like I said, there's all these defense thresholds you have to deal with, I do think the #1 priority stat is going to be attack percentage, attack bonus. And guys, when you read these priority stats, read it from left to right. The farthest to the left is the most important, farthest to the right of that category is the least important there. So I do think attack bonus is the most important. And now you might find this curious. I put attack speed above crit rate, kind of as I explained before. I do think you want to make sure you achieve some improved attack interval, like so down from the 3 seconds, like we brought it to 1.8. I would say at least to 2 seconds, if not 1.9, 1.8, or if you're crazy, 1.7. Maybe later on in the game we can all get that 1.7 or even lower. But because her whole kit is all about the curse bombs, and because you have a really high chance to get curse bombs, because keep in mind it's a 30% chance on her basic attack, but on her basic attack she's hitting 3 targets. So basically she's probably gonna land it on one of them because they're all individual hits, and you're gonna get more and more opportunities the more times she actually attacks. So you really just want to get that attack speed up. Then I'm putting crit rate. I mean, these are all 3 priority stats. So when you're building her, I think this is what you need to be focusing on. Then, I mean, just DPS stats. Secondary stats, we've got crit damage. If you have crit rate, you're going to want some crit damage, so the crits actually hit pretty hard, beyond just the base 150% that all our heroes in this game get. And then rage regen. You might be thinking, well, her ultimate, it's really great, right? So don't you want to have really high rage regen? Well, ideally, you're going to build her with such high attack speed and you're going to have some amount of rage regen percentage for your whole team from the Pantheon that those attacks will regenerate rage really, really quickly. And actually, this is a good time to mention she is a relatively low-cost unit. Let me just quickly take away the infographic and I will just show you. Here's our ultimate, guys. You can see it's only a cost of 65. That cost doesn't go down with skill ups, but you can see the initial rage does. So you really want to spam it as much as possible. However, you absolutely can do that without really building rage regen percentage, at least from my testing. If you get a high enough attack speed, she'll keep that ultimate going plenty. Finally, let's move on to what I think the optimal gear sets are. Well, I'll just read these out to you guys, but I think it's fairly straightforward. I'm going to say number 1 is going to be Calamity. It makes sense. You want to get some attack percentage on her. Number 2 is going to be Whirlwind. That was my number 2 priority stat. You're going to want to get some attack speed on her. And then finally, Annihilating Might. Crit damage is great on her, but I'd say that's a luxury. Later on, you can maybe focus on Annihilating Might once you start easily hitting with better gear, those attack thresholds and those attack speed thresholds. But I think for now, this is kind of where you would want to focus in that order. And then we've got our 3 accessory sets. I'm not going to break down what all of them do. I'll give a quick little highlights. So actually, you know what? I'm going to show you the build that I put her in, and that will be the best way to demonstrate. So there's the infographic, guys. Now let's go back into my roster. Let's check out my little test server, Morrigan, and how I put her together. Because I actually did want to put her in sets, because that's something people ask about a lot. So you see my first choice I listed was the Wisdom set. We are using the Wisdom set. So I don't have the best gear on this server, but it's pretty good. I'd say it's like mid-game gear. It's better than the gear on my account, but not by much. My real account, which is not this. This is the test server. Here you go. So I went attack bonus on all the pieces. And then just to explain what the Wisdom does, after using the ultimate, skills increase damage by 35% for 10 seconds. On characters that have a low skill cost on their ultimate, doesn't require that much rage. This is amazing because it's going to trigger a lot. So this uptime is at 10 seconds, but then the time between each 10 seconds, between each triggering of the ultimate, is obviously less. Imagine if this was Comet with like a 12 or 1300 cost ultimate, right? So this is an amazing set for her, in my opinion. Then I'll just show you the other sets. We have the Curse set. So if you're not familiar, you get an additional, I believe, 6% damage. Where is it? 6% damage for every hero in range up to 5. So super strong for things with big groups of mobs. Yeah, increases damage by 6% for up to 5 stacks for every enemy within the attack range. So for something like Gear Raid 1, really, really good. I personally just like the Wisdom set a bit better. And then finally, I'll show you the Night Terror set. I think a lot of people are familiar with this one, maybe one of the most popular DPS sets in the game. This is what we put Virna in, that you're going to see in a second. But increases damage by 25% for 3 seconds after making crit hits. So if you build someone with enough crit, it's just basically kind of like always increasing damage by 25%. Actually, now that I'm reading this, for this specific fight for Virna, she probably would be better off with a Curse set because we're bringing it to Gear Raid 1. But yeah, those are probably the 3 sets I would highlight in terms of accessories for Morrigan. So guys, the final key piece I want to show you, let's actually bring this lady into some content, right? Oh, I will quickly just click through the gear again in case anyone missed it, and I will show the full stats. So you can see we're 65, almost 66 K BP. So here are the totals, almost 16K attack, and remember there's no Pantheon, so these actually are her stats. We got the attack control down to 1.8 with attack speed of 309. Crit rate is at 78.5. A little high, actually, because we're going to use her with Autumn, but it's honestly not such an issue since Autumn won't always have her ult up. And then we've got crit damage at a decent, but again, pretty mid-game, 208%. Very little rage regen, but we needed some since we don't have the Pantheon, again. And then, yeah, no additional rage regen auto, no mana set. I'll just highlight, I guess we can go into the fight now, and I'll very quickly just show you the other heroes we're using, and then we can start doing this. So, Gear Raid 119, we're going to turn off POD, turn off Paradomus. We're not going to need it here. Let's head into the battle. So you see, I built a full cultist team, and then I just brought some extra kind of supporty guys just to fill out a team. This isn't going to be like a solo showcase. I actually don't think she can solo Stage 19, at least no way with the way I built her and the gear I have. Let me know if you've heard of anyone doing that, but I don't think it's possible. However, we have got Morrigan, who you saw, then we've got Zealous. I'll just show you these cultists really quickly, just in case you're curious about their gear. You're probably most curious about Virna, I presume. So here you can just get a sense. Here's our Virna. Our Virna's in quite a nice build. And then who else we got? We got Aeon, who is an epic lord, but we're mostly using her for the vulnerabilities she puts out, and of course the crowd control effect she puts out, right? And then Hollow, who we're using as a healer and for some rage regen. So yeah, guys, so Morrigan's whole kit, right, is all about extra bonus to members of her own faction. So we built a full cultist team with 2 other DPS units. I guess 3 if you count Aeon, but I wouldn't. She's really there for support and some debuffing. And then also just giving extra AoE, and then also having everyone benefit from her faction to crowd-controlled units, right? So we're bringing crowd control. So in what form is that crowd control coming? Well, that's why Aeon's here. She's got her slow, and she's got the Vortex special unique talent where she sucks people in towards her. And then also that's why we're bringing Mari. Mari has slow, and she also has freeze. Finally, we don't need to show the gear on these guys. It's nothing special, but we've got Elowen, who's a nice healer, amazing healer, providing some rage as well from her kit. And then, of course, we have my absolute girl. I actually have to show her. How can I not? My favorite champion in the game. We have the lovely Autumn. I'm very happy I checked because she is missing a piece. All right, Autumn is all set. Let's head into this fight. Got to double check just to be safe. Power dominance is off. Let's do this thing. I will say, guys, this is quite a long fight, and I can't auto it, so I can keep talking because then they're going to automatically turn power of dominance right back on. I found that out the hard way. So I'm just going to manual it, and then I'll just 2x or 3x the fight. Then I'll check back in at the end. We'll go over stats, and we'll end the guide right there. See you in a minute. Well, guys, there you go. We're nearing the end of the fight. Unfortunately, Mari died in there. I really did not put the best builds on some of these champions, but you can see we did it fairly handily. It was a little close in the end, but it's going to be a W. And yeah, we really got to show off the cultists and what Morrigan can do for them. So now we're going to go to the stats. I'll just tell you right now, I'm sure Virna just did an amazing amount of damage, but it'll be very interesting to see how Morrigan compares to our boy Zealous. And keep in mind that a lot of the extra damage potency from Virna and Zealous is coming from that Lord skill. So Morrigan is a great champion alone with her kit, but really it's that Lord skill and what she's able to do for her fellow cultists that push her over the edge and make her just something really, really tremendous. So let's check out those stats right now. You can see Morrigan put up a decent fight. Like, I was expecting her to put up like a quarter of the damage that Virna did, and she actually did, you know, what, much closer to over 50%, more like 60% or something like that. So pretty good stuff, right? If this was 70K and this was 42K, that'd be 60%. So over 60%. She did quite a nice job, and you can see she really mopped the floor with Zealous. And then these guys really were just support and providing some crowd control debuffs. So that kind of answers the question as well towards synergy. What is her synergy? Put her alongside other AoE cultists. That's really it. Currently, I think all the AoE cultists in the game are magic damage dealers, at least the platformers. But if ever, her thing isn't just for magic damage, even though we kind of associate the two together. And it's not just for mages. So if they ever have AoE cultist piercers or something like that, a piercing unit people, but cultists, she'd be just as good. She's great for boosting the AoE and great for helping the other DPS like Virna elevate their own damage because of that tremendous Lord skill. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the guide. I hope I wasn't too frenetic. I'm operating on, I think, 1 hour sleep right now, but I hope it was still really informative. I'll put the graphic up on the screen right now once again. And again, if you would like a copy of that, I think Dolores did just such a lovely job. Feel free to contact me directly or through my Discord, The Fast and Fastidious. I've been Fastidious. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. If you want to comment, ask me any questions, comment. I answer every single comment, or share it with somebody. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.